Hello, and welcome to the Kill a Bit of Time podcast. Today we're going to be talking about stress, Morris dancers and minstrels. So sit back, relax and enjoy my ramblings on episode 5.
So, episode 5. I've very much enjoyed creating this podcast. It's given me something to focus on, obviously, because I've given up alcohol for a while now. By the time this podcast comes out, I try to keep a week ahead. I think we should be on about 6-7 weeks. And it's just given me something to focus on. So it's been nice having that to look forward to as well. Something I've had to get used to with not drinking is the fact that there's no little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Because you look forward to, you're like, oh, I've done 30 days now. I haven't had a drink in 30 days. Oh, I haven't done drinking 40 days. And that like those targets keep going up. But there's no reward for it. Nobody's bursted in with like fireworks and presents, like when you win a prize on TV. So you just got to get used to the fact that the gift is actually today. The treat is now. You're getting rewarded in now, in this moment. Because if you're on the drinking cycle, you wouldn't be feeling as good and as alert and fresh as you do right now. So you have to sort of get used to that. But the weird thing is, you do feel better when you haven't drank in a while. But just like anything else, you just get used to it. And for some reason, we're programmed, we're conditioned to always hunt for that better feeling. We feel like we're always hunting for more. We always want more. So I just have to remind myself that you feel good right now. You don't feel awful. I have to remind myself that sometimes I'll go to work and I just felt terrible, headache, sluggish, tired, and you're just waiting for that clock to hit the time when you can go home and just have a nap. And I don't feel like that right now, so I just have to remind myself of that every now and then. That I feel good now, and I should be grateful about that. You know what I mean? I've got my health. I feel good. Why do I want more all the time? But I went to see Kingston Moorwood Gardens the other day with my partner and my little girl. And I was walking around, it was really nice, showing the little girl the animals and that. They had pigs and goats and stuff like that, which is the first time she's seen any of that. So it's weird. It's funny looking at her, see things like that. It must look like a weird alien to her. Imagine the first time you see a pig. You'd be like, what the fuck is that? Oh, like snuffling at you. You'd be like, what the fuck? Keep that cunt away from me. But she wasn't. She was just intrigued. But anyway, we walked through that. Walked through the gardens. It was beautiful. It was like something out of a book. It was a really nice summer's day. The garden was really well kept. Big, like, grand manor. A lovely, like, pristine, picturesque lake with, like, and the sounds as well. The sounds of, like, the birds. It was, like, proper, like, English countryside type sounds going on around you with the birds and stuff like that. It was lovely. I couldn't have dreamt. It was like a dream. And I just thought to myself, I was like, if I was drinking and on that loop, I probably would have made an excuse not to come to this. I don't feel like it, or I can't be asked. I wouldn't have wanted to go. I genuinely would have been like, fuck that. But so for me, I was trying to look like that as a treat. That's my little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That experience. Because if I was drinking all the time, I wouldn't have had that. So you gotta have your little reality goggles on and realize when you're getting treated by the universe. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to overlook these little things. You just take these wonderful experiences for granted a lot of the time. You know what I mean? It's like when you get ill, like when you get really ill, like where you're bedbound, you can't get up, you've been sick, or you've got like the worst flu ever. You just pray for just feeling human again. Like, I can't wait until this is over. Like, it's been going on for days, and you just feel absolutely awful. And then when you get well again, you go, oh, this is so good. I feel amazing. You don't really feel amazing. You just feel normal. And because you felt so shit for like a few days, you'd really appreciate just feeling well again. It'd be nice to have that feeling of appreciation all the time. But just like anything, you get used to feeling well, and then you're on the hunt for more. But the last time I was really ill, it was like sickness and diarrhea, and it lasted days, and it was around Christmas time as well. So then I could eat again after that, and I was appreciating food and everything like that, and it was great. But whilst I was in the middle of my like peak sickness, I kept on thinking about this story my mate told me. And he went travelling, right? And he had this stuff in Thailand or something like that, right? Called sticky mango rice. And he told me about this before. And for some reason, I kept thinking about sticky mango rice when I was being sick. And it was making me more sick. Because he had the same thing as me. He got really ill, but when he was abroad, food poisoning. And when I was, when you just lie in bed and you don't want to be, you're feeling unwell, you think anything could tip you over feeling sick. And my brain kept on thinking about sticky mango rice. And I was like imagining the texture and the sweety sour flavour of the rice and the just lukewarmth of it. And it was making me heave up. And I was like, why do I keep thinking about that? Don't think about the sticky mango rice. Don't think about, and then you're thinking about it. Little bastard. I never even had it. I never even tried it. I don't know what it's like. But my brain just kept on turfing up sticky mango rice all the time. I wish my mate never told me that story. But anyway, even when you're feeling well, you can still feel mentally unwell sometimes. You still feel down. You still get bad days. You still have problems. It's not alcohol causing all the problems. Life just has problems anyway. You just forget about that though. You think, as soon as I don't drink alcohol, that'll be all right. Everything will be fine. No, life's still going to have issues and problems and challenges. You just need to actually deal with them and face them head on rather than just ignoring it and getting drunk and just hoping it passes. So that was something I'm getting used to now. I think I'm getting better at certain things. I think experiencing challenges and problems, the more I face in a sober way, the better I'm getting at dealing with it. I think I've had a reduction in, I used to get big feelings of despair when I felt like I was just losing at life. Things weren't going my way. And I would just feel like, well, that's that then. What's the point in even trying? And I'll get all down in the dumps and I'll just sort of give up. But I'm a lot better at not doing that now. Now I'm like, right, I need to fix this, because a lot of it is because I've got the energy and I've got the mental clarity to be able to actually be bothered to fix problems. I think a lot of it comes down to that. So that's something I've definitely got better at, not just giving up, actually just wanting, having the motivation and the want to overcome these day-to-day challenges that you get in life. But something that I'm still struggling with quite a bit is just dealing with stress. Stress is a tricky one, because by the time you realise it's happened, it's too late. It's because it's a physical reaction as well as an emotional one. The emotion of stress, if it is an emotion, the emotion is anger, isn't it? But then the whole overall feeling is stress. And then your reaction is a physical one as well as a mental one. And I always fall into the same trap. So I'm all of a sudden I'm reacting to stress. And all this bullshit about, if you're stressed, take a deep breath and count to 10. But hang on, that's too late. You're already stressed at that point. It's a very quick reaction. All of a sudden I've snapped a pen in half at work. Oh shit, I'm stressed. I reacted to the stress. So it's not like I had a chance. For me, it's the moments, it's the few seconds, the moments leading up to that stress response. And it's almost like a reflex. Something happens, it doesn't go your way. I'm very much like, I have an idea in my head about what I'm doing, how it's going to go. And if it doesn't go like that, that's what triggers my reflex, stress response sometimes. Sometimes I'm really on edge. For example, first thing in the morning is my time where I'm on edge. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Anything can trigger me. And I know I'm feeling like that. I know I'm in that mental state where I'm like that. And it's usually for about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. I get up and I'm like, right, I feel on edge. I've had a good night's sleep. Everything's fine. I'm fit and healthy. I'm all good. But the problem is, I just feel stressed in general. And I recognize that. So I try to think, right, how can I mitigate a stress response? But even if I'm trying to approach it like that, thinking clearly about it, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it will just overwhelm me. For example, if I'm opening a packet of cat food, right? I'm opening a packet of cat food. In my head, the packet, the top comes clean off, lovely. In reality, it gets stuck and I get cat food on my hand. And then I get stressed and I start yanking at the packet, and then I've got more cat food on my hand and I've got cat food on the fucking walls as well. And for anyone who hasn't ever got cat food on your hand, you can wash the cat food off and your hand still fucking stinks of cat food. It's well annoying. But anyway, that can cause a stressful situation for me. So, but it doesn't matter if I tell myself, don't get stressed. Even when it's happening, it's like a reflex. It's like if you cross your knees and someone hammers that bit of your knee, which makes your leg twitch. It's like, right, I'm gonna hammer your knee. Don't let your leg twitch. You can't help it, can you? Your leg's gonna twitch. There's nothing you can fucking do. But there must be, because it's psychological. So I'm just trying to discover how I can sort of switch off that reflex. And for me, it's just, so far, the ways I've being able to mitigate it is trying to recognize that those few seconds before that reflex kicks in, it's like not letting the hammer hit your knee. It's like, fuck off, hammer. It's sort of like that. Some of the advice I've found is stay away from stressful situations. But that's easier said than done, isn't it? How do you know when they're gonna pop up and arise? I work in a kitchen, and staying away from stressful situations is not possible. It's just one big stressful situation in there most of the time. But most of the time, I get stressed, and it's because I'm annoyed with myself for not doing something right, and it goes wrong. So maybe it's just a case of cutting myself a little bit more slack, allowing yourself to make mistakes, and not beating yourself up for it. Maybe that could be an answer as well. Someone said to me something ages ago. I think I was about 13 on the school bus. They're like, "Oh, you think the world owes you a favour, don't you?" And that was, for some reason, that's always stuck with me. I'm like, what do you mean? What does she mean by that? Because when you're a teenager, when people make comments about you, you try to figure out what they mean because you're still trying to discover what and who you are. And other people's opinions matter because it's very difficult to figure out what you're like. You need other people's sort of perspective to figure out what you're like, sort of compared to everyone else. So I've always thought about, what does she mean? The world owes you a favour. And in a way, she was right, because I've always sort of had the outlook in a way that, the universe created me. So it has to take care of me. It has a duty to make sure my life's all right. When really, it's absolute nonsense. It's easy to forget that you are part of the universe. So you're obliged to take care of your own damn self. You know what I mean? Your mother will take care of you. And then when you're a fucking adult, you take care of yourself. The world don't owe you nothing. All the ingredients are there for you to have a good life. All you have to do is go out there and find them. So, So one thing that I've found difficult coming off of alcohol is that I've lost my manual dopamine release system. Before, if I wanted some lovely little dopamines, I used to have like 4 cans of Thatcher's Gold, 8 cans of Thatcher's Gold. I had loads of dopamines. I could just choose when to release my dopamines. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I thought I was in control when really I wasn't. The alcohol was in control. It's like an illusion of control. You think, I'll have a few beers, I'll get my dopamines, and that's true enough. But the problem is when you don't have the alcohol, that's when you don't get your dopamines. When otherwise, you would be getting them on an automatic sort of release system. So really, the alcohol use is holding your dopamines fucking hostage, and you have to drink in order to get them. So you think you're in control of your dopamine release, but you're not. You have to drink to get your fucking dopamines, and that's how it gets it. It tricks you into thinking that you've got control over when and how you get your dopamines, but you don't at all. It's like it's taking your dopamines hostage, but you learn to love your kidnapper. It's like the Stockholm syndrome with your own fucking dopamines. So now my dopamine release system has shifted to fucking automatic, which is, in a way, it's like an upgrade, isn't it? Because all the modern cars you get these days, they're all automatic, aren't they? So anyway, I've started to look up different ways in which I can get hold of my beloved dopamines naturally, and it's the stuff you'd expect. Exercise that helps you release dopamines regularly, especially like the hours after the exercise. Getting enough sleep, diet. It's always the same 3 things: exercise, sleep, and diet. But looking into the diet side of things, I discovered in some foods there's something called tyrosine, right, which is a non-essential amino acid, and it's found in protein-rich foods like eggs, cheese, like all dairy stuff, meats, just protein-rich foods. It's packed full of this tyrosine stuff, right? And it's a precursor to 3 important neurotransmitters in your brain. One's called norepinephrine. You heard of that? Epinephrine, right? And dopamine. Dopamine's the motherfucker that I'm after. So yeah, beef, lamb, pork, fish, chicken, you know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. Nuts, all that stuff with like high protein. That's full of the tyrosine, which is the precursor to your dopamine. So you can sort of engineer your brain to sort of deposit regular automated supply of dopamine straight into your fucking bloodstream. But another thing it says is to stay away from all the processed shite as well. That's going to have a negative effect on your brain if you're not getting nutritious food. There's no nutritional value in a lot of fucking foods. Some of the processed meats you get are fucking awful. And look, I'll use hot dogs as an example. I've never eaten hot dogs since I read the label on a jar of hot dogs. I might have had the odd one when I'm pissed, because all fucking rationality goes out the window when you've had a few beers. But if I'm sober, I will stay away from hot dogs, because I read on a jar of hot dogs, right? And you might have read it yourself on other products, mechanically reclaimed meat or mechanically separated meat, also known as MSM. So if you see MSM on the ingredients on a jar of meat, that means mechanically separated meat. Mechanically reclaimed. I was like, what the fuck is that? I just wrote it off as, I don't know what it is, but it sounds fucking awful. I don't want it. Mechanically reclaimed. I don't like that. So for this purposes of this podcast, I looked up what it was, and it's just as bad or even worse than I fucking expected. So it's a product made, right, from forcing meat from bones and carcasses from various animals. Originally, right, it was cows, sheep, pigs, chickens, all different types of carcasses left over from butchers and big factories, wherever they fucking produce meat, actual fillets of meat. Everything left over is forced under high pressure through a fucking sieve to separate the edible meat tissue. And that's including all like the marrow and the cartilage, the gristle, all that shit. It just comes out through this sieve. And then some places, they go one step further and they use something called advanced meat recovery systems, as if the fucking mechanically reclaimed meat wasn't enough. Some places go one step further. And what they do is they puree all of this stuff up, all of these fucking carcasses into a puree. And then they once more force it through another sieve, an even finer sieve, stuffing it through. And then they get this meat slurry, they call it. It's fucking slurry. Oh, horrible. Horrible. And anyway, they've been doing this since 1969. 1969 they've been making this fucking meat slurry. But they keep it quiet, don't they? That's probably on a lot of labels. You'll see MSM, and they just hope no one looks it up. But they haven't done it with cows' carcasses since the BSE outbreak in 2004. There's been other outbreaks. That's not an isolated fucking outbreak. But in 2004, it was a big one, and it drew a lot of attention to the meat industry. And they're like, right, we won't use cow carcasses anymore. And the reason is, if you get BSE, it fucks you up. It's not nice at all. It causes brain damage. It's fucking awful. I'll talk about I'll talk about that in a minute. But how it's caused is by cows eating bone meal, which they're not allowed to eat anymore. Bone meal. And bone meal is made from the same way they make fucking hot dogs. They render down all these carcasses, right? And then they feed it back to the existing livestock, including, right? Not excluding fucking cows. So they're blending, mincing up, and fucking rendering down cows and feeding the cows back to themselves. So it's like forced cannibalism. Fucked up. Anyway, by no surprise, it caused some fucked up shit, which is called BSE, mad cow disease. It's more well known, and it's contaminated with something called it's these dodgy prions, right? They're called prions. I looked at prions and what it is, and it is something called a misfolded protein. And any more information that it gets way too technical. Is a prion is a misfolded protein, and basically it fucks their fucking brains up. But the weird thing is for me is that the process involved in making that bone meal that caused mad cow disease isn't that different from the process that they use to make hot dogs. Yeah, right. It's the same process. They're just mincing up fucking carcasses into different fucking shapes. They mince it up into a fucking hot dog shape for ye cunts. Yeah, so you're getting fed the same shit that they feed farmyard animals. It's fucked up. But anyway, if humans get mad cow disease, right, and they change the name of it, of course, because they can't really say to their family, can they? Oh, he's got a mad cow disease. So they changed it to Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease or Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. And if you get this mad cow disease, right, the symptoms are this. You lose intellect and memory, so you become a little bit fucked up in the head. It's probably a lot like Alzheimer's in a way. You can have personality changes. Yeah, your loss of balance and coordination, so you're stumbling all over the place. Slurred speech, vision problems. Sometimes some people go blind from it as well. Like jerking movements, you can get twitches and spasms. And then progressively, you just lose your brain function and mobility, and then you eventually die. It's fucked. So the moral of that story is stay away from the fucking hot dogs, all right? Have some almonds and some chicken and drink a glass of milk. Get your tyrosine as well. But there's all sorts of stuff in your food that's out to get you, isn't it? Like non-stick pans is something I've been more wary of recently. Non-stick pans are out to get you, especially if they're scratched up to fuck. I had to tell my mum to get rid of one once. I seen it and it was all scratched up to fuck, all flaking. I was like, Mum, that needs to go in the bin. That's not good for you. You tucked it away. I've got another one. I should have just got a stainless steel pan, really. But the non-stick pans, they have stuff in there called PFAS. It's the material that makes it non-stick. And they're also known as forever chemicals because it takes so long to leave your body. Once it's in your body, it's there for years. Teflon, the original Teflon pans, they're not good. I think they make PFAS-free pans now. But they've been making Teflon pans since 1938. But non-stick pans aren't the only stuff that contains this PFAS forever chemical stuff. It's in basically any products where that can resist oil, grease, or water. Even like some waterproof clothing contains these forever chemicals. They stay in your body for years. It's a known carcinogen. So it's like the companies that are producing it, they know it's a carcinogen. It's not banned. People can still produce products with this stuff in it now if they want. And there's thousands of different versions of it out there as well. So I've got a few of these non-stick oven pans, right, that I've been using. But because I've been wary of the forever chemicals, I've been putting grease-proof paper on there, thinking, I've outsmarted them. Fuck you. But I've recently discovered that the fucking grease-proof paper contains forever chemicals as well. I was like, for fuck's sake, can you not win? Is there anything you're safe from? Air fryers, they contain high levels of PFAS as well. So it's just everywhere. So at some point you just got to go, you know what I mean? You can't protect yourself from everything. Water's another one that you can't be fully safe from, apparently. Because in your tap water, they've got fluoride and chlorine, right? Not huge amounts of it, but it's been tested. It's proven it's in there. And then bottled water, they say that it's got microplastics in. So you can't even win with that. When my little girl was a baby, I was panicking about what to give her. I was like, do I give her tap water or fucking bottled water? What would you like today? Chlorine and fluoride? Or would you like some microplastics? You know what I mean? I was like, a toss-up. I was like, So we went with bottled water in the end for the first year, pretty much. But according to the National Institute of Health, they did a study last year, right, January 2024, and they found that a litre of bottled water contains approximately 240,000 micro and nanoplastics. That's fucked up, innit? Nowhere's safe. Apparently, every year, the average person consumes enough microplastics that they could make up a credit card. They consume a credit card's worth of microplastics per year. It's mental, isn't it? But I just think people need to stop worrying about it as much. You know what I mean? If you really worried that much about if a bottle of Evian water is going to fucking kill you, then you're probably worrying about things too much. You know what I mean? You go into your kitchen and there's just dangers everywhere. You look at the air fryer, ooh. You look in the fridge, ooh, everything's in plastic, ooh. Just fucking, you know what I mean? Look, this is the world we live in. Just get on with it. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to protect yourself from everything unless you're cooking whole grains in a cast iron pot in your back garden with a water supply from like some Himalayan virgin spring. It's just not fucking feasible. You can't stay away from all the dangers. Yeah, sure, eat good food. You know what I mean? Exercise, sleep, do all the fucking right things. But stop worrying about and propagating fucking paranoia with everyone. Telling everyone, oh, you shouldn't fucking use an air fryer. It's their business. If someone wants to use an air fryer, fucking let them get on with it. Stop trying to plant fucking worry into people's heads all the time. But anyway, back to the dopamines. I think that anything that gives you a quick release seems to be addictive, like drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, all these like quick release sort of systems for getting your dopamine. That's all addictive, you know. But it's weird how just living a healthy lifestyle and getting your dopamines naturally, why isn't that addictive? You know what I mean? There's only one thing apparently that can give you quick dopamine release that isn't addictive, or maybe it is listening to music. Listening to music can just help you to release endorphins and dopamines naturally. So I think that's pretty mad. But it's not always like that, is it? Because some for me, sometimes I listen to music and it makes me fucking sad, even if it's music that I had a good time to, because I get feelings of nostalgia. And some people say that nostalgia is a good feeling, but I don't think it is. Nostalgia is like a feeling of missing something, of yearning or longing or harping back to, wasn't that a nice time? Wasn't that so good? It doesn't really dopamine for me. It makes me feel like you miss it. It's like if you miss someone that you love, you're not going to go, oh, that was great, and then you get a load of dopamine sparking off because you love that person. You miss them. Missing someone or something isn't a nice feeling, is it? So for me, I get more, I think, sometimes negative feelings from listening to music. It depends what it is in the situation. If you're slapping on some reggae and you're cooking a spaghetti bolognese in the kitchen, that does pump up your dopamines. That's good for me. Reggae is a pretty good one, actually, for getting your dopamines out. But if I'm listening to rave music that I listened to 15 years ago, it sort of makes me feel a bit sad in a way. I don't know. It's an odd one, music. It's an odd one, and nobody knows as well. Nobody knows why we feel good when we listen to music. It's not like a proven thing. It's too deep. It's too fucking deep. People don't know how it works. Our relationship with music is mystical and fucking bizarre. It's mental, and that's why I love it. So yeah, that sort of concludes my self-improvement section. And next we're going to be returning to a feature that I longingly call a cheeky little plunge. Ho, here it is. A cheeky little plunge. And this week we're going to be doing a little cheeky little plunge on Morris dancers. A bizarre English tradition. And I'm doing it because I didn't get a chance to speak about it last week when I was talking about the shit fete that I went to. Walked around, they had various stuff going on. Someone selling fudge, a choir, and then these Morris dancers. And I thought, oi, this is weird. I'm going to speak about this. I need to get to the bottom of this weirdness. One of the notable things about this group of Morris dancers is that one of them was Chinese, and I thought that's unusual. There's nothing wrong with being a Morris dancer if you're Chinese. It was just unusual. It's a little bit like, have you ever seen Last of the Samurai? And anyway, all the samurais die, and the last man standing was Tom Cruise. And I just thought, well, it should be a Japanese samurai, really. Tom Cruise. He's taken all the fucking glory, and then he goes back to America. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's an English traditional dance, right? And they dance around, and it's hardly even dancing. They sort of skip around, waving these like hankies in the air, where they wear full like white overalls with like these the straps, little black hats, and they just dance around with hankies, and then they get out these sticks and start like hitting sticks together and stuff like that. It's bizarre. It's a bit of shit that we've been left with fucking Morris dancers as well as our traditional thing. Like in Norway, you've got Vikings. Japan, you've got samurais. America, they've got Native Americans. They're pretty cool. And we got fucking Morris dancers. Yeah, they're typically associated with an English tradition, but it's spread all over the Commonwealth. It's like Canada, New Zealand, Australia, USA. It's in a lot of Europe as well. Even Russia. Apparently, it's even reached Russia, fucking Morris dancing. So it has spread everywhere. But it's known as an English tradition. But I'm going to challenge that in a bit. Because there's a lot of mystery about the origins of Morris dancing. When I first started looking into it, there was a lot of misconception. There was a lot of opinions. There's lots of that going on. Because there's lots of delineations of Morris dancing in England as well. You got Cotswold Morris dancing. You got Northwest. You got Molly Morris dancing, as well as others, and they all have different routines, slightly different like uniforms. whatever they're called, and different like face paints and things like that. So yeah, there's the ones I see, they're always wearing white, but apparently there's some that wear blue, some that wear green, loads of different ones. I didn't realise that, so I thought that was quite cool. But the earliest record that I found of Morris dancing in England was back in the 15th century, so back in like the Middle Ages. And then some people think that it evolved from like pagan rituals as well, and that's where they say that the bells came from, because they strapped the bells to the legs. Apparently that was to ward off evil spirits, negative and evil and mythical creatures, by scaring them off with the bells. And I thought, oh, okay. So at some point, the Morris dancing might have had a crossover with paganism, and that's sort of where the bells have come into play. So I thought, oh, that's quite cool. So maybe it came from paganism. But then I looked up the word, and I was like, why is it called Morris dancing? And interestingly, it's widely accepted that it comes from the name Moorish. So it's actually Moorish dancing, Moorish. And the Moorish people were originally the Muslim inhabitants of the Iberian Peninsula, right, which is sort of like on the edge of Portugal going into Spain. They also occupied parts of northern Africa, Portugal, and then they invaded Spain at some point during the medieval period, and they just like sort of occupied that whole area. Yeah, the Moorish people. So it actually came way down from that sort of region, and then it evolved this Moorish dancing and spread to the rest of Europe, where it was used in like some ceremonial purposes and courtly performances and things like that. But the Moors invaded Spain way back in fucking 711 AD. So Morris dancing goes fucking way back to fucking medieval times, because it actually came from the Moorish people, Moorish dancing. And I thought, wow, that is quite cool. But during the medieval times, slavery, right, was rife. It was going on all over that area, all over Europe, England. It was just everywhere. So it's highly likely that the Moorish people, or the Berbers, Moors is actually a Roman name, an ancient Roman name for Berber. They're Berbers, but they've been given the name Moors. And if you look at the country, you've got Mauritania, right, which is North Africa, and what's above Mauritania? Morocco. Look at the words: Mauritania, Morocco. It's also from it's where it comes from the name Moors, Moorish dancing. It comes from down basically Africa. So anyway, it's likely that the Moors, the nation of Moors, were taking slaves from the rest of Africa. So it's on the cards. Actually, it was an African dance. Mauritania was the last country to abolish slavery, and they were still going on there until 1981. And so I looked up anyway. I was like, Mauritania, that's interesting. So I looked up, what is the traditional dance of Mauritania? And fucking get this. There's a dance, right, in Mauritania, North African country, called the Anigur, right? It's a traditional African dance where they simulate sword dueling using sticks. Ringing any bells? Well, the bells came later with the pagans. But that's obviously, it's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it? And then the women play drums, and then the men simulate sword dancing with sticks. So it sort of comes, it's all ringing true that it sort of comes from, it's an African dance. It actually comes from there. But weirdly enough as well, traditionally, well, you can't really say traditionally anymore, because originally it was traditionally in England. Now traditionally it was Moorish. Then traditionally it was fucking from Mauritania, North African country. Sort of traditionally loses its meaning when you're going back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But anyway, there was a period of time where Morris dancers in England painted their faces black, and in Europe as well, particularly from the Border Morris style, which is like on the English-Welsh border. So the Border Morris is a type of Morris dancing, and like in the 17th, 18th centuries specifically, and in the 19th century, they used to paint their faces black. And I was just wondering if there's any sort of correlation between that and the fact that the dance came originally from the Moorish people, who actually got it from Africa, and I was just wondering, were they imitating? Are they like sort of like imitating African people in a way? I just wasn't sure if there's any link between that. But they've been doing that. There's some places have been doing that even until quite recently. It wasn't until the Black Lives Matter movement that whoever was remaining, who was painting their faces black, has now switched to using blue or green. So even up to like very recently, people been painting their faces black. Obviously, not as much so in the last like 10 years, but in the 17th and 18th centuries, it was just commonplace for Morris dancers to paint their faces black. So yeah, I was just wondering if there was a link there between that. It's just weird that from 500 years of evolution turned a traditional African dance into fucking Morris dancing as we know it today. It's just a bit weird. But yeah, poor people used to what is called, or used to be called, blacking up, and they used to put soot and boot polish on their face, all right, mostly in the 15th century, and that was to disguise themselves so they could beg without being recognised. So maybe they had a really like low paid job, and they went and did a bit of begging on the side, and they used to paint their faces black to disguise themselves. So maybe it wasn't a racial element. Maybe it had nothing to do with the origins of the dance. Maybe the Morris dancers wanted to remain anonymous, like the people who did it in the 15th century when they went out begging. Maybe it's that where it come from. But I'm not too sure, because blacking up was something that they used to do in loads of theatrical performances, particularly in the Renaissance period, yeah, where they used to portray demons, devils, and damned souls. And of course, the Shakespeare, Othello, right? Othello was a black man, and white people would play him because it wasn't suitable or whatever for black people to be performing or whatever, some sort of racist stuff like that. And white people used to paint their faces black in those sorts of performances as well. There was also some extremely derogatory performances where actors would black up as caricatures and imitate black people in comedy performances. And it was known as minstrelsism. And there'd be shows called like the White Minstrel Show in the 1890s and things like that. Highly racist. There was one bloke who toured around the north of England, right, blacking up, doing the old minstrel performances with a monkey called Bilbo. So it was all over the place. And I was just thinking, like, back in the day when this minstrelsism was going on, this racist performances, Morris dancers were also painting their faces black. And I'm not saying it's linked. I'm just saying it's noteworthy. You know what I mean? So anyway, the other question that I asked myself was, do they ever dance to music? Because the ones I've seen don't have music in the background, really. It's usually just them and their little sticks. They just dance around doing that. But I looked into it, and the answer is yes. There's something called the pipe and tabor that they used to dance to in England in the 14th and 15th centuries. And it is like a little pipe and a little drum, and one person plays both. The drum's like hanging off the pipe. The pipe's got 3 holes. It's a very simple pipe, and they're just beating on this drum. And I'll play it for you now. Lovely. So you can sort of imagine the Morris dancers there skipping around to that, can't you? But these have been joined recently, well, in recent years, and I say recent, and I mean like in the last 100 years or so, by the fiddle, the concertina, the melodeon, and the accordion, and loads of other instruments. The Cotswold and the Wheatley Morris dancers are the ones that dance to a certain type of music called trunkles, right? And that sounds a little bit like this. So there it is. There it is, sports fans. There it is. And that's what some of the Cotswold and the Wheatley Morris dancers dance to, right? But then some of the other ones in England, some of the other delineations, and I won't say which ones they are because I don't want to slander anyone, but they dance to music from sort of the music hall era. And 2 of the classic songs that Morris dancers dance to is Old Black Joe, written in the 1860s, and another song called Getting Upstairs. Anyway, so Old Black Joe, this song depicts an elderly black man, Joe, that's Joe, who expresses grief over the deaths of his companions during his times in the cotton fields, and now his own impending demise. So he's dying, and he's sort of like looking back on his hard life and his comrades who died in the cotton fields, and anticipating his own heavenly reunion with his fellow dead and departed friends. So this song was very popular in its time, back in the late 1800s, but modern day interpretations aren't really that well known because of its connection with the minstrel era, which we've spoken about before, and as well as the fact that it's sort of perceived to sort of like racially romanticize the times of slavery. So people don't really play that tune anymore because it's sort of like it was looking back on it in a sort of like romanticizing kind of way. And the other song, Getting Upstairs, right? This song was very popular in the American minstrel show era as well. And I was like, what the fuck? There's a link here again. All right. And the blacked up faced performers would perform to this song, Getting Upstairs. Right. So there seems to be like there's once again some sort of like faint undertones to racism there in the history of Morris dancing. There's no clean cut way to look at it. But if you look at the facts, like it comes from the Moorish people likely to have taken slaves, right? The dance then spread from Spain after they were invaded by the Moorish people into the rest of Europe. And then over the periods of hundreds of years, people started painting their faces black whilst they were performing these Moorish dancing things. And then as soon as minstrelsism came along, they were also painting their face black. And then people were dancing to racist songs, but with black faces, right? Doing the Morris dance into it. It just seems like there seems to be some undertones there. And maybe I'm connecting dots just because I'm looking for it now. And I pricked my little interest up. Maybe that's it. But all I'm saying is that, I don't know, you never, it'd be a bit, you're never going to see Morris dancers at a Black Lives Matter protest, are you? You know what I mean? I think that would be a bit odd to see. And also, I was thinking it stems back to my own prejudice at the very start, when I thought it was weird to see a Chinese Morris dancer. And I was thinking, oh, that's me being prejudiced there at the start as well. So I've been conditioned to view it as a kind of white activity because I thought it was odd to see a Chinese Morris dancer. So I don't know. I'm leaving it a bit confused. But I'm going to be watching these Morris dancers very fucking closely next time I see them. I'm going to be having a little look what's going on there. I'm going to be, trying to find out what's going on. But anyway, it's a bit of that concludes now. That concludes my cheeky little plunge. And I've tried to do it as tastefully and tactfully as I could or as I can around the sensitive areas that it sort of went into. I didn't expect it to go there. I really didn't. When I start my cheeky little plunges, I don't know where it's going to go. I start off with something and I see where it takes me. And so, yeah, and once it started getting into sort of racial topics, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to be careful here. I'm not out to offend anyone. I'm genuinely just looking up stuff and topics and seeing where it takes me, really. And then hopefully learning something myself as well, which is one of the things that I love about doing this podcast. It's like a reason for me to go out and learn stuff as well. And I'll try to take inspiration from just random things that cross my way. Like the other day I was in Poundland, right? Buying this plastic bow and arrow. I'll talk about that later. And some bloke just said something about William Tell. And I was like, who the fuck is that? The name rings a bell. But anyway, and I thought, I'll use that for a topic. I'll do a topic about William Tell. And then I was in a charity shop that same day. And I was flicking through a book. And this little card dropped out. And it was for a hotel in Germany. In a place called Wetzlar. And I thought, maybe I should do a cheeky little plunge based on this fucking card that fell out. So I'll try and take inspiration from just random sources and see where it takes me. And on this occasion, it took me on a weird little journey around Morris dancers. But anyway, that is all I've got time for today. I haven't got time for the feature that I'm going to do next week now, which is In the Garden. So I'll have to do that feature next week. So all that to look forward to. And I'm going to finish today with I'm just gonna read out some ingredients for a hot dog over some music and see what it sounds like. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time on episode 6.
Master, shall we make the hot dogs?
Yes, fetch the sodium and the saturated fat.
But what about the nitrates and the stabilizers?
Well, of course, bring those. You mix those into the hydrolyzed maize protein.
Okay, I will wait for the glucose syrup to melt.
And don't forget the guar gum this time.
Shall I now add the E451 and the E452?
No, wait for the dextrose to melt, because it will tamper with the maltodextrin.
Ah, yes. Master, this is looking a little thin. Shall I add the thickener E412?
Yes, and then we shall add the mechanically reclaimed meats.
Killed a bit of time, didn't it? See you later.